Today I will talk about my thoughts on the first batch of SS equipment. But first, let's see some general difference between the S and SS equipment. We obviously have higher main stats due to higher rarity. However, for the weapon, the sub stat like combo rate, counter rate, crit rate or skill damage is the same as the S equipment. For the armor, we now have an additional substat called final damage reduction. Another big difference between the S and SS weapon is that they generate less rage per hit, making it longer for SS weapon to rage. But every it rages, it will deal massive amount of damage. But because of this, you might consider again when picking these rage skills. Now, let's go through them one by one. Starting with SS Whisperer. A lot of unchanged skill for Whisperer as the core gameplay for it works around shooting tons of daggers per turn. Mainly I see that they simply increased the damage output of Whisperer. However, the rework in one of the skills seems more like a nerf. Imagine you have both Diego and Vulture, which means you can attack 4 times per turn. With the normal Whisperer, each attack gains 10 additional rage, which gives you maximum 40 extra rage per turn. This doesn't take into account additional combo hit by other skills or gems. Meanwhile, SS Whisperer allows on maximum 2 triggers of the rage bonus, cap the rage gain at 30 per turn. I'm not a Whisperer user, but this seems to be an odd case. And its final skill, this is more useful in PvP because in PvE, most of the time you need damage and freeze or stun is enough to deal with them. In general, SS Whisperer has some buff in terms of stats, but it doesn't fix the main issue that it needs to rely on picking the right skill into to maximize its potential. I feel this is an underwhelming SS upgrade compared to other weapons I will talk about. Next, let's talk about Blade of Justice and Skysplitter SS upgrade. They are fairly similar, so I will discuss them separately and compare them later. Starting with Skysplitter. The core skill that triggers sword key every combo is kept, and then they did a massive upgrade for sword key. Each sword key now deal additional normal attack damage. We can say that sword key damage is increased by around 2 times. Every single skill of Skysplitter had an upgrade. Rage skill increased from 230% to a massive 800%. Global attack and sword key both also increased. The true damage is kind of uncertain, but I guess it's fairly the same as before. However, I feel that this is a good and bad upgrade for Skysplitter. Yes, it had massive buff in terms of damage. And the key thing is that now, Sword Kai deal both skill and normal damage. So in PvP, if you face against player who only build skill damage reduction, you could have deal more damage to them. However, because of this, you don't get the full benefit from skill damage, like from Ghost Inheritance or this skill. Here is a simple calculation of having a 500% skill damage bonus, a split in rage damage type, resulting in only a slight buff to its final damage output. If you have it fully at Sword Kai damage, the increase will be much more. In the end, a buff is still a buff, and Skysplitter is still the best PvE weapon due to Sword Key able to attack enemy on the backline. Moving on to Blade of Justice SS or Helios. This is a total rework of the weapon, so I won't do any comparison. We have a massive rage damage output of 700% attack, with potential to deal much more. Then we have a new skill that trigger additional attack every basic attack. This works the same way as Skysplitter, but much stronger. And lastly, we have shield from a percentage of damage output. As discussed with Skysplitter, Helios don't have the separate damage type issue, hence is able to fully benefit from the bonus damage from basic attack, making its damage output much stronger. And then the Helios skill that trigger with every basic attack. This trigger with basic attack means that it can trigger one more time than the sword key from Skysplitter, and in general the damage output is also higher or equal to the total damage from Skysplitter. So in conclusion, Helios is probably the new Skysplitter, probably the highest DPS or highest single target DPS weapon, once paired with Raphael or the new Twin Blade. On top of the shield based on damage makes it an all-rounder. I would say Blade of Justice has raised to be one of the best weapons in the game. Moving on to Reaper Staff SS, there are also some rework to this weapon, but mainly it still works around triggering a lot of lightning and increased lightning damage to deal tons of damage to the enemy. The biggest addition for this weapon is the bonus shield and the auto release of lightning without triggering rage. This makes Reaper Steel one of the best PvP weapon. It's now more tanky due to the additional shield and no longer afraid of crowd control due to the fact that it can trigger lightning without attacking. And the last weapon is the Durian SS. Durian SS also got reworked for the better. Instead of healing, it's now focused mainly on gaining shield and increased damage dealt to enemy. Everything is about shield and counter damage. I think this is the better improvement for Durian compared to before. This plays well to its strength as using shield as and damage dealer. But I feel that this build still got room for improvement. Its damage still feels a bit underwhelmed. In summary, 3 weapons stand out the most are still Skysplitter and Reaper, and a new hero in town, Blade of Justice. An honorable mention to Durian, while I think Whisperer can use some rework too as how they do it for other weapons. Now, let's move to the armor. The Dragon Breath armor got a lot of rework. Firstly, it now heals every 2 turns instead of 1. And on top of that, you get tons of damage reduction. Its heal and damage reduction increase skill sync well to give you a permanent buff. But the biggest thing is, they fixed one of the biggest issue with healing. When healing is overflown, it's gone to waste. With this SS version, it converts to shield, giving you tons of survivability. Meanwhile, Revival Cape doesn't get much rework. Everything feels the same besides from the extra damage reduction. So I feel that for this version, Dragon Breath armor is really suitable for PvP. It can heal, it can give shield, and it also gives much more damage reduction. While Revival Cape is for PvE, mainly due to the Revival skill.
Okay, so that's all for today's video everyone. I hope the content I'm sharing is helpful for you. If you like it, please leave the like and subscribe. Comment below if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.